Yeah, the truth of the matter is, EV is a political thing right now, and it's not a realistic thing. The public is rejecting it wholesale. The public is not aboard with EVs in any way. They're not buying them. And like I said, the people that wanted an EV bought a Tesla already. It's a very small percentage of domestic manufacturer sales, the smallest percent. But it's where they're dedicating 80-90% of their efforts and their resources. And I don't know that we won't have new emerging technologies that will surpass and replace the EVs, maybe even hydrogen. So
yeah,
that's not, EVs are not the final word, and the infrastructure, the raw materials, depending on Russia, depending on China, depending on third world countries for the raw elements. There's a lot of problems with EVs. And I've been a prognosticator in the industry for 30 years, and I consider myself the most accurate forecaster in the industry, because not because I'm so smart, but because other people are so stupid. It's I look at the things I have said and things that have come to pass, and I've gone against the grain and against the flow so many times. So once again, I'm looking at EVs and I'm sort of scratching my head. I have built a career on what most of the people will do most of the time, as opposed to what some of the people will do some of the time. Like buying cars, transacting online. The public is not doing that. During COVID, we looked at Carvana and we looked at Tesla, and all the manufacturers fell in love with the sales model, and they decided that everybody's going to buy cars online, transact online, take deliveries at office and home, but it didn't happen. Only a small percentage of consumers do that. What some of the people will do some of the time. But what most of the people will do most of the time is fill out part of their paperwork online, partially transact. They won't give their financial information. They won't take delivery at their homes. They won't do what the manufacturers want. They still actually journey to a brick and mortar location and go through the remainder of the process that they didn't transact online. And that's what's happening. So the manufacturers have guessed wrong every time that they've guessed. They thought, especially Ford Motor Company was looking for direct sales. Guess what? Direct sales didn't happen. The consumers did not order the cars. Ford Motor Company, General Motors, Stellantis, they can't fulfill an order in a year. Customers are being promised 6 weeks, and all of a sudden they can't fulfill. An example, a Ford Bronco that a customer ordered a year ago with some of my dealers. The dealer across town got one identically equipped to the order that my dealer can't fulfill the order. So the manufacturers are more screwed up than a pile of coat hangers. And they're pursuing EVs, and EVs are great technology, but when you think about some of the associated costs of the EVs and the price points of the EVs and the repair costs on an EV, you run over a curb with a Tesla, you have a $28,000 repair to replace the battery if the insurance companies are choosing to total them. So you look at the repair cost on EVs, it's phenomenal.
I'll say this: you could take a look at the road up to Big Bear and the Mammoth, and it's littered with bumpers and fenders of Teslas. Out here in California, there are a lot of citizens. I think it's
Oh,
it's
absolutely.
a geographic choice. But they can't handle the winter. The snow and the ice just tears them to shreds. And another thing that a lot of people didn't realize, nor did the manufacturer, that the batteries run so hot. So as the snow melts and the battery cools down after it's turned off, it creates a giant ice cube underneath the vehicle. You can't even move it.
Not only that, but you turn on the air conditioning, or you turn on any of the accessories, you try to haul a load with it, and the range goes down tremendously, especially in the trucks.
Mm-hmm.
So if you have a work truck, the only time you get the range that advertised is if you haul it empty and don't turn on any of your accessories.
Well, let me ask you a question about sustainability and green technology and government mandates, because the government's never mandated anything ever that's worked. We know that. And I tend to not look at this so much as a green revolution and an evolution. You mentioned hydrogen fuel cells. And to me, if you really want to have a green, sustainable technology, that's the way to go about it. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I'd rather fill up my car with a garden hose than,
Yeah.
and, we're entering the age of the Jetsons here, and
Yeah.
that is very conceivable. And the manufacturers, I don't know what Jim Farley's thinking. Now, the biggest thing they want to do is, and you talk about the future of the dealers, you look at Ford Motor Company splitting into two corporations. And the reason they split into two corporations is because all but 18 states have carved out exceptions for Tesla. So all but 18 states have broken the franchise laws and made exceptions for Tesla. And by creating an EV company, Ford and General Motors could basically look at circumventing the franchise laws and doing away with their dealers. They don't have to, and defeating the other 18 states would be easily done. Now, DeSantis in Florida just signed a really tough franchise protective law that the manufacturers can't sell direct. I'm wondering how that's going to play out if it goes to court.
Yeah.
So other than Florida, Massachusetts just folded. A lot of states are folding to the franchise exception laws, and that's what I think. Farley at Ford is banking on, is that by creating a separate company, they can completely go to the agency model, which is what they want to do. They want to create dealers into delivery centers. And the other thing you have to look at is that Biden signed the Right to Repair Act in July of a year ago. And the Right to Repair Act will give private shops the ability to do warranty work. Theoretically, that hasn't happened yet, but theoretically, the manufacturers can pay Pep Boys to do warranty work and supply them with the stats and the tools and the technology and the analytics.
Is it a play to eliminate the car dealership?
Well, it is, because Tesla's biggest claim to savings is not having the dealers, but then they don't have the repair facilities either. So they're claiming it's all through the airways, but of course the body shops are another thing completely. And it was very attractive. Tesla is very attractive to the manufacturers because let's face it, Tesla's valuation is more than all three domestics put together.
Yeah.
So, of course, that's very attractive. Farley was a personal friend of mine. I had him on speed dial. I've got his secret email address, not the public one. But when I wanted to buy my Lincoln Aviator 2 years ago, I called Farley and he put me on the A plan. But guess what? He won't even answer my calls now because I've written such derogatory articles about him. Because I've always sided with the dealers as opposed to my personal well-being.
Let's talk about F&I.
Okay, I am the ultimate source for F&I.
So where do you see it going over the next 10 years to accommodate this EV mandate? Do you see different financing options coming into the fold as subprime markets probably will continue to expand and EVs become?
I disagree with that. Subprime markets are shrinking currently.
Oh, they are shrinking now?
Yeah. Matter of fact, even the major lenders are pulling back on lending requirements.
No kidding.
They're not buying
60 days.
They did. Now this would be the Wells Fargos, not the OEMs, but but still in all, Santander, which has been the number one subprime source. Now, don't quote me on this, because I talked to dealers about it. I believe Santander has pulled out of the independents. So where the independent dealers don't have access to a lot of lenders they once had access to. So yeah, subprime. See, repossessions are at record since 2008.
Yeah,
and delinquencies are at records. So delinquencies and that's with an up arrow. That's increasing. We got a president that shakes hands with ghosts.
Yeah.
So and that's the whole political arm that's pushing the EVs. Now let's pretend that the Republicans come back into power. They've already got the House. Let's pretend they come back into power. Let's say they get a president. I think the EV mandates are going to go backwards. I think a lot of what you're seeing right now will go with politics. F&I, there's a lot of movement right now to disband the F&I office, and F&I is still the legal protection for the dealer. It's still the policeman. It's still the compliance people. It's the office that should be empowered to say no when everybody else says yes. I have an F&I school coming up in Atlanta here in July, and I've got 13 people in it. I'll probably have 30 is what I'm trying to cap it at 30. I don't want a big class, but compliance is a big part of what we teach today. Legal compliance, structuring deals, most of the F&I managers today are not educated. There's a lot of movement amongst my friends to start licensing F&I. For Christ's sake, a barber's got to be licensed.
Sure.
Hairdresser's got to have a license.
Sure.
And
I agree.
And we've got the AFIP, Association of F&I Professionals, and I'm not sure that that's a great organization. I don't think it's a recognized organization. I think it needs a little more teeth. I was the keynote speaker at the first F&I convention, the AFIP convention. Pat Riley, the basketball coach, and I were co-keynotes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was back in the 90s or 80s, maybe. 90s early. I have never joined. They owed me $10,000, didn't pay me, so I walked away.
Oh, geez. So where do you see how does a dealership have to adapt? One that wants to stay in there and continue to compete on whatever level that is. What do they have to embrace and what do they have to let go? What do they have to initiate and what do they have to completely rid themselves of?
Okay.
Is it a philosophy?
Well, first of all, it's a philosophy. in all but 2 or 3 states, F&I products are the Wild West. You can price them wherever you can price them that the customer will pay and the bank will finance. If the bank will carry it and the customer will pay it, you could charge $3,000 over what you paid for the product. I have always been an advocate of stated pricing on F&I products. I have always been an advocate either a percentage or a dollar amount over cost. Say, theoretically, and I teach this, theoretically, let's say a service contract costs me $1,500, my cost. For the deluxe, everything 7-year, 100,000 mile service contract. If I pay $1,500 for it, I can mark it up 100% of its cost, or I can mark it up $1,500 or $1,000, whatever we choose. But every customer has a stated price. There's no, deceptive trade practices come in three flavors: prejudicial, predatory, and I'll think of the other one in a minute. Prejudicial, predatory, and charging too much. I don't know what the word I'm looking for is right now, but there's three brands of deceptive trade practices. Predatory, prejudicial, and yeah. So anyway, predatory pricing is the number one thing that dealers have been dinged for, especially with like window etch. Window etch cost every bit of $59, and when Gunderson Chevrolet got dinged by the state here 20 years ago, and we were off to the races, they were charging non-English speaking Mexicans $3,500 for window etch, and they got them. And Channel 5, Joel Glover, Los Angeles, got them on video. And 5 of the managers went to jail. Hoban, the general manager, and Charles Poteet, the F&I manager. So that was Gunderson Chevrolet, which was an AutoNation store, biggest Chevrolet dealer in the state. And there were a number of others that were dinged in that sting. And that started all the problems with F&I. Christine Gregoire, who was the state attorney general of Washington, was the first one to prosecute car dealers and trainers, over deceptive trade practices. She invented the practice of payment. The terminology payment packing. She invented that, and they formed a 20 group of state attorney generals. And they started going after car dealers, and that's when they started putting trainers and F&I managers in jail. I started really paying attention.
Yeah,
I don't want to be the bride of Big Bubba, just not in my future. So,
yeah, I remember that.
Yeah. So anyway, the legal ramifications of violations always fall on the F&I manager, although most of it's done in the sales department. So biggest thing dealers are being prosecuted on these days are power booking. Power booking is the number one prosecution. Are you familiar with Andy Elliott?
Vaguely. I know the name.
The trainer.
Okay. Yeah.
Andy Elliott was with Big Red Kia in Norman, Oklahoma. And the only way that he got out of federal prison himself was to testify against the dealer and turn state's evidence. They did more violations of federal laws than any dealer I have ever seen. I've got 150 pages of Andy's testimony on my desktop here. He bribed the banker. opened a pawn shop next to the dealership to fake down payments, where the customer could pawn worthless items and show $5,000 pawn tickets. You know, so we still got these criminals, and we embrace them in the car business. And biggest thing we have to do is run these criminals out of the business completely.
Yeah, I think he's out of Scottsdale, Arizona.
Well, I think he is now. Yeah. I don't think he dares set foot back in Oklahoma.
Mm.
Yeah.
What are the biggest challenges facing dealerships right now, would you say?
The biggest challenge, factory overreach. Manufacturer overreach is by and far. They've got their meeting coming up in September. That ought to be a circus. All the dealer meetings are coming up, and I'm sure you saw the Frankenstein movie with Boris Karloff when the villagers were chasing him up the hill with the torches and shit. That's going to
be a good imitation, actually.
Yeah, that's going to be. That's going to be the manufacturer executives when they face the dealers.
Yeah.
They've required to be an EV dealer with Ford. You've got to invest over $1 million in EV upgrades for your dealership, and you're going to get 2 dozen of them next year. I don't know what the number is, depending on their allocation, but it's some weak ass number. The dealers are telling me really weak numbers of EVs they will receive in return for their $1 million investment.
That's absurd.
Well, of course it's absurd.
It's absurd. And you take a look at Ford's stock shares right now. Somehow they're up. They're actually higher than they've been in years.
Well, there's a lot of liberals in this world that are swallowing that Kool-Aid.
Yeah. Well,
and
what would you?
Somebody voted for these politicians. How does Gavin Newsom keep getting in office?
Yeah. Well, we have to deal with him. I currently have to deal with him. What can if a car dealership wants to compete? Couple more questions.
Yeah.
If a car dealer wants to compete, he wants to be around in 10 years. He wants to turn his dealership over to his family. It's a legacy operation. What does he need to put in place right now? What does he need to be aware of right now in the current situation? And then having an eye to the future, such as yourself, to stay competitive.
To stay competitive, every dealer needs to upgrade their technology. Every dealer needs to upgrade. They're using technology that is not suited to doing business today. Artificial intelligence is a real thing. AI is a real thing. It can reduce, it doesn't reduce the people, it reduces the tasks. It assumes tasks and saves time and frees up people. AI is going to be real. Video is real. You and I are communicating right now. An F&I manager is going to have to learn to communicate while the customer's still on the website, and this is the way they're going to do it. There are a couple CRMs that are already building video into the CRM. All the Cox companies can't keep up. They keep putting Band-Aids on their old technology that were never designed to do this. So dealers need to look at upgrading their CRM, upgrading their DMS. Techion is phenomenal. There's a couple of them. I'm trying to think of a couple of the names right now. But, you look at the old style technology that people are using, it can't keep up. It doesn't do video. It doesn't do text properly. Matter of fact, half the texting programs out there are still illegal as far as compliance. Trouble with CRMs right now is they're designed by geeks that have no comprehension of what we do.
Mm-hmm.
You look at the people that are doing the programming. They're programming the way they want us to do business, not the way we actually do business.
Yeah.
And it's a big conflict.
I've noticed the same.
So I guess I'm rambling all over the place, but I'm trying to give you as big a picture as I can paint. I hope I'm helping.
You are. Guy who's been around the business for 48 years has a lot more to offer. No question about it.
48 years.
48 years, yeah.
Yeah, I think you said 28.
Oh, no, 48 is quite some time. Well,
I walked in the dealership in 1974.
I won't even say how old I was at that point. I guess I could have been. No, I couldn't have been. No, I could have. No, I'm too young to have been in it for that long. For sure.
I'm 76 years old.
Oh, okay. All right. There you go. So you've seen it all. I'm
still doing it. I'm still doing it. I'm teaching classes at Northwood University.
Okay.
Yeah, I do 2 classes a week on general manager and F&I.
Outstanding.
Yeah, all video.
So where is, of course, that's the way to do it these days.
Yeah.
Let's say that people follow your suggestion. They embrace the technology. They get the AI in there. The AI not only makes their job a lot easier, more efficient, but it actually brings in more business. So they grow with AI. They don't necessarily lose personnel. In fact, as they grow and AI helps them bring in more business, they need more people to be able to service vehicles and handle a variety of different.
Well, it more enables them to work on the customers that are in the lowest part of the funnel, ready to buy now.
Yeah.
Not have to work the customers in the upper level of the funnel. And right now, unfortunately, most dealers, Kelly, have 100,000, 50,000, 40,000, depending on the size, of dead leads in their CRM. Leads they paid for at one time or another. I mean, customer that at one time or another tried to buy a car from them.
Mm-hmm.
And they worked the deal. They couldn't make the deal. Maybe the competitor made the deal. Somebody made the deal. But those people are still living, breathing human beings in your market. They might have bought a car elsewhere. Maybe they service with you. There's all sorts of ways to sell them their next car. But we stop marketing to them. We spend a fortune in the car business advertising for strangers, and we spend no amount of retro budget to people we've had in the past. And I've always advocated retro budget on advertising and marketing. Market to your past customers. Your best and cheapest source of new business is your old customers. So we're spending a fortune advertising for strangers. And you've got all these dead leads that you paid for that are, and you forget they're living, breathing human beings in your market that at one time or another tried to buy your brand of car from you.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe they live in your neighborhood. 50% of most dealerships' customers in service didn't buy the car where they service their cars.
Yeah.
You go out to the service departments, you've got an incredible chance of conquest business.
Yeah. So here's the last question.
I probably didn't answer any of your questions.
No, you did. Actually, you've given, and as you speak, I think of where I'm going to be, putting these into the book, what sections, and this is very valuable to me. So I really appreciate it. How do you, 10 years from now, let's say 30, 33.
Okay.
I'll be a little bit closer to your age, and you'll be a real old guy. Still doing your F&I stuff.
I hope I'm a real old guy.
But what is the dealership going to look like? Think of the dealership that's probably within a mile of your home right now. You walk in there. Are you going to be handed a tablet? Are you going to just be, or are you going to be walking in just to pick up your vehicle because you've already done the full order online? Now, you did mention that most people do not embrace all the online stuff, but maybe the younger generation that only deals with or online has now grown up, and so that's sort of where they tend to favor. What does it kind of look like?
They've been predicting that for a long time.
Yeah, but I see my kids right now, Jim.
But you got to remember, Generation X grew up to be us.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean,
well,
that was supposed to be Generation X.
Yeah,
they were supposed to be the online buyers.
Yeah.
And we've been predicting that for a long time.
I would not buy a vehicle.
It's still going to be the dealer that has inventory on the ground.
Mm-hmm.
One thing that the online generation wants is instantaneous gratification. They want it. They want it now. People say, "Well, look at Amazon. Yeah, Amazon will have something in your house the next day." General Motors can't produce a car in 6 months. They tell these customers 6 weeks, and it doesn't happen. It's never going to happen. It hasn't happened since the 80s. I talked to a dealer yesterday. Chevrolet dealer, GMC, has several General Motors franchises. He says, "Jim, our people can't figure out how to order a car. They made it so complicated, and there's so many flags that pop up in the computer. You can't do that. We don't have that. Don't order that." He said, "We are totally perplexed on how to order a car."
Mm-hmm.
Totally. So the factory direct model crashed and burned predictably before it launched. They can't do it. So that all of a sudden we've normalized. We've got rebates, we've got discounts, we've got trunk money. Even Tesla is rebating, for heaven's sake.
Yeah, quite a bit. But that's coming from the government too, right? So
price cuts and rebates.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden, even Tesla's playing the game. And the Wall Street Journal had an article recently that, funny enough, all the online retailers are going back to brick and mortar. And here we got the manufacturers trying to go the other way.
That's interesting.
Real interesting. It's a whole article in the journal about they're going back to brick and mortar, all of them. And even Apple.
Apple.
So when you think about it, all the godfathers of online retailing are going the other direction. So will the next generation do that? Will there still be Lincoln is predicting that people are going to be wearing Oculuses, or more so Cadillac Oculuses, and doing virtual test drives, and that ain't going to happen.
Yeah,
that ain't going to happen. They're going to have a seat that vibrates, make you think you're driving a car. Quit it. So. Is retail going to die the way we know it? There's going to be some evolution. Right now, the vendors are consolidating services. Where I walk in a car dealership today, I've got 3 screens on my computer. I'm looking at you in the center, but it's like I'm driving the Starship Enterprise, And you go in a car dealership, and they also have 3 screens because they've got 3 different vendors on 3 different screens, and they can't watch their business in real time because they are too busy trying to work. They got Dealer Track over here. They got vAuto over here. They got all these different vendors on the screens, and they got their CRM in front of them. So all of a sudden, They can't. Those vendors are consolidating. Techion, for instance, in the services that are offered by multiple vendors coming on one screen in one click of the button. That's being rapidly consolidated.
Yeah.
So I like the CarMax model, and I've always thought the CarMax model was the way we should go, where you have an individual, a college kid in short pants and knee socks that take you out there and select a car with you, and then they introduce you to a manager who does the entire deal, finance and sale, in one sitting. The customer never gets out of the chair.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody ever goes to a manager for another pencil. The one manager sitting in front of them does the entire menu. I think that if I was to bet on the business, I would say we're going to go to a single menu sale.
Simplicity.
Very simplistic. Very, very single menu sale. F&I online did not work. And they lied to us about that. They still lied to us about that. Well, people watch the videos and buy the F&I products. No, they don't. Statistically, show it to me. Didn't happen. Customers don't even watch the videos. We've got to have a video real-time communication between the finance manager and the customer. If we're going to sell F&I, and we're going to put finance online where they select their payment. See, that'll happen. The customer will select their financial options online, but they're not going to buy the products unless the F&I manager can sell in real time with a video type presentation.
Yeah.
Because the people are going to come in, they're still going to take delivery of the car. They're going to do a lot of their. I had a doctor appointment yesterday, like we're doing right now. I had a doctor video chat with me. And I know he billed the hell out of Medicare for that too. It's just amazing. So video is going to be, four-dimensional conversation for all the modalities of communication in one sitting.
Mm-hmm.
And when the customer does come physically into the dealership, which a lot of customers are, the lead providers are dead. Cars.com, Car Gurus, TrueCar just crashed hard. They've restructured for the fourth time.
Jeez.
I mean, they're sinking down the tar pits, eating their last brown shriveled leaves off the trees. Just unbelievable. So all the lead providers are dead because consumers are coming physically into the dealership. They're bypassing, because the dealers have learned how to use Google My Business, Google Profiles. They've learned how to use Google My Business. They've learned how to use SEO, SEM, and Google Maps. And Google has always been the source, but now the dealers are better at it than the lead providers. The people are coming directly into the dealers. Facebook is the biggest source of advertising today. All of a sudden, TikTok is selling a lot of cars, which I never believed that would happen, but it is.
Yeah.
So I hope excuse me 1 second.
Sure, Jim.
Yes. Okay, I'll be right up. Okay. She's telling me my seafood arrived. I ordered a bunch of seafood. I'm doing a crab boil tomorrow night.
Well, it's good talking.
How are we doing so far?
Yeah, I think the insight's been fantastic. That's probably all I need from you too. It's maybe you mentioned it seemed like a little bit of a dour, forecast at the beginning there, but I think
No.
by the end of the convo,
No. I'm not pessimistic at all.
Yeah.
But what I'm pessimistic about
Hmm.
is it's going to get a lot worse before it gets better.
Yeah.
Manufacturers are going to have to crash and burn one more time. They've done it before. Back before it had the auto collections and General Motors tried to run their own dealerships, they crashed and burned. The manufacturer does not know how to sell cars. And every time we educate a new bunch of these fools, they retire and we have to educate a whole bunch of new ones. Yeah, so I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah.
I don't think I won't be around to see the resurgence of the dealers, but the resurgence of the dealers will become stronger than ever, a model much resembling today's sales model as opposed to all the experimentation the dealer OEMs are going to try.
Yeah.
The OEMs are going to try a lot of experimentation. They're going to fool with the process. And, Bill Ford's gonna kick Farley right through the field goals the first time they lose market share to Stellantis trucks.
Yeah.
you know,
That is true.
I mean, he did it with Jack Nasser the last time they tried some foolish stuff.
Well, I guess it remains to be seen, but I tend to agree with that. It's pretty obvious. I just think everyone's focus on the EV is pretty much going to be, not so pretty for the whole group. The entire industry made a big mistake. And you were right, because when Trump came into office, his everything changed. I mean, he rolled back the need to have 35 mile per gallon, as your base, performance qualification for any vehicle.
He rolled back 100% of Obama's legacy.
I can understand that. That's not bad, but the fact that it had to all go EV to me is just ridiculous.
Of course
It's not
it is.
green. It's not easy to supply. They take twice as many semiconductors as a regular vehicle. It's a joke.
Well, the move is being led by a president that could hide his own Easter eggs.
Yeah.
I mean, I got to go.
Be good, Jim. Thank you, sir. I'll be in touch.
Take care.
Cheers. Bye-bye.